Hello everyone and welcome on board the Sunrise Safari here on Nkuhuma Private Game Reserve. We are in a massive wilderness and it's going to be great taking you on this adventure. We only traverse probably 1,500 hectares of about 3 million of the Greater Kruger National Park, and like I said, it really is a truly incredible wilderness area where animals are free to roam hundreds of kilometers, and there are lots of animals that we can look for this morning. We've started off by coming into an area where the Manuletti crew saw buffalo tracks heading east over the main access road into Nkuhuma, and they thought on their way into work that there could have been some lion tracks trailing the buffalo herd. On closer inspection, it turns out that it was just a massive hyenas tracks that were seen, but still a worthwhile update and still going to be worth following this herd of buffalo, because if we find them, who knows, there may be some lions in that area. At this time of the year, they do spend a lot of time trailing the large herds of buffalo, and we've already been seeing and also hearing about a lot of lions making buffalo kills in the general area that we're in. So that's exciting prospects and interesting how lions hunting dynamics will change over the months. But that we can chat about later. Just to let you know, my name is Scott and I'm teamed up with Andrew on camera this morning. Brent is headed out on the other vehicle with VM, and he's headed to the southern reaches of Nkuhuma, whereas we are now in the northern reaches. And it's quite nice that we can split up and kind of cover different areas and search for different animals. At least at the start of drive, we may team up later, and the plan often does change. Now, this is a live safari, so if you'd like to send us questions at any stage, please do so. And not only questions, but also your comments and thoughts. And you can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or send an email through to questions@wildearth.tv. And apologies if we don't answer your question immediately, but it's important that you know that there are many people with you on this safari, so we cannot answer everyone's questions. It's a crisp morning here, and it's about 13 degrees Celsius or 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Certainly I don't think as cold as it was yesterday, and thankfully it looks like we have blue skies and we should enjoy a pretty sunset in the next few minutes. Yesterday was predominantly overcast and also very windy in the morning. Just need to make sure that I'm not going to overlook any possible lion tracks that may have been in this area, but I can still just see one very large hyena track, and I'm going to see if I can try and find it for you. There we go. This may work out. I'm just going to jump out and point out to you the different tracks quickly. Because the light is quite low, it may be difficult for you to see the tracks, but I'm going to try and show you nonetheless. This is the hyena track over here, heading in the same direction as all of these buffalo hooves that you may see dotted around, very similar to a cow's hoof. There's one over here. So they're all heading in this general direction, and it can be quite difficult to tell tracks, especially if you're in a rush to get to work in the morning, as the crew was that saw these tracks. But hyena differ from lion quite considerably in terms of their track. This hyena was a very large individual, and that's what probably threw the guys off. But the claw marks that you can see in the toe, at the end of the toes of the hyena, will be one thing that you do not find on the lion tracks. You do not see any claw marks. And the hyena's pad has got 2 lobes, whereas the lions will have 3 on the back pad. So there are a few differences that you can look for, but when it's dark, and like I say, you're in a rush to get to work, it can be easy to confuse them. You can hear some aeronaut babblers calling ahead of us. And their name, I guess, describes their call very well, which is a loud babbling sound. Another go-away bird calling now. So the birds are alive on this section of Djuma. And it's great to hear the morning chorus with all of you. I wonder if these go-away birds have seen anything of major interest. They will often alarm call at animals, but they could also just be having a discussion amongst one another. The one that was calling is just up in this tree to our left. It sadly is very obstructed, but if it does call again, it'll be great because we're so close. Okay. It didn't agree with that plan, but we do have to try and show you things, and we have a limited input as to what the animals will do, and that was a prime example. I think the coast is clear. They're all sitting up in this tree here, and there doesn't appear to be any threats nearby. But maybe they'll let off one more call for us. I've just heard a woodpecker drumming on a hollow branch. Where is it? I think it's up ahead. Let's go and try and find it quickly. We'll leave these go-away birds to continue nibbling on a few little shoots coming off this acacia tree. There's a few dead trees up ahead, and I'm guessing that's where the woodpecker could be. And it sounded to me like this woodpecker wasn't necessarily looking for food, but possibly communicating with other woodpecker. The bearded woodpecker will use drumming as it's one of its forms of communication with other woodpecker. And you can usually tell the difference because when they are drumming, they will pick very hollow branches and drum out quite loudly. I can't see it, Andrew, don't worry. Okay. I was just hoping it was in this dead tree. I looked into the general area that it seemed to be calling from, and this was the most likely spot that I thought we could find it, but at this stage I can't see it anywhere. Now, is it hiding from us or has it flown off? Hard to tell, but we shall continue. We're going to continue following the general direction of these buffalo tracks that are heading towards our northern boundary, and it'll be useful to check this northern boundary for any sign of lions moving through a little corner of our reserve where we often do find their tracks. So while we carry on in search of that, we're going to send you across to Brent for an update on his morning so far.
Good morning and welcome on this live safari. My name is Brent. I'm going to be your guide. I've got Wim, aka the WildEarth, on camera with me today. We're down our southern boundary following up on lion tracks. We heard them calling a little bit earlier. They are in this general vicinity. I am hoping they've crossed into our property, but it looks to be the Styx and Matimas, so maybe we'll have some luck and find some little cubs this morning. But to all our old viewers, or not old viewers, our regulars, welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Sunrise Safari. if we have any new viewers, a very warm welcome. And also, if you are new, we are interactive apart from being live. You can send us questions. You can do that by emailing us, questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. So I'm going to show you the tracks quickly, and then we're going to continue on. We can see nice line tracks here. And there's another one in the center of the road, and there's another one on the right. So at the moment I can see tracks for 2 males and possibly 1 female. I'm gonna listen for a few seconds, see if we can hear anything. Nothing yet, but let's get on these trucks and see what we're going to be able to find. So a little bit of mist up in the valley this morning. I'm hoping these lions have decided to come visit Nkuhuma. So Scotty mentioned that off on leave today after the sunrise safari, and Lynn is wondering where I'm going on leave. Lynn, I'm heading up to Zambia for a few days, up to northern Zambia near the Congo border. I'm going to go do some bird watching. We've still got some lion tracks here, continuing straight to the west. So guys, we're about to go through a signal breakup, so bear with me. I'll be through it as quick as possible. We're going to pop up here towards the Twin Dams waterhole. I don't have any tracks, so possibly cut in. I didn't see any tracks going south either. So we're approaching the Twin Dams waterhole now. We have found the Styx Pride in this area quite a few times, so we're going to keep our eyes peeled. lines are just in front of us, so it looks like my guessing of the tracks was spot on. There's a male, sounds like calling, right around here somewhere. There he is. Hello. And the cubs are here. So, my guess about the tracks crossing, oh, look at them go. Oh, very playful this morning. Station is located one Matimba, one Styx Mafazi with a 3 Monton, twin dams. Animals are mobile south. I confirm they're still mobile at the moment, but they are on the northern side of Twin Dams, but general direction is southwest. Just going to move, get into a better position. What a way to start the sunrise safari. I had a sneaky suspicion we might find these guys this morning from that calling we heard earlier. Just going to try and get up ahead of them. Oh, there's another lioness. So 2 Styx lionesses at least. There could be a few more. Here comes trouble. Negative ticks have changed direction slightly, heading slightly more west into the block between Gari Main and the Shkova that runs parallel to Elephant Carcass. So here we've got the Ginger Matimba. Ticks at the moment, they're quite mobile. It's the Nyamazan. Sorry guys, I just gotta let the rest of the game drives know what's going on. From there now heading sort of more west from Twin Dams into that block F where we had them Lalapans a few weeks ago. Matimbas Lalapans, but Mafazis are walking quite fast straight west. The only station here. Isn't this wonderful? How cute are these guys? Try and get you guys a gap. I'm going to try and move around ahead of them again. Nice to see the cubs in this early morning cool, quite playful, jumping up and down while they follow mom and auntie. The lionesses look quite hungry, skinny bellies. It sounds like the other male Matimba's up ahead and doing that calling there. Ooh, wait. Let's see if we can get in a bit closer. Sounded like there's another male up ahead. We can't see him yet. It's amazing how much they've grown since we first saw them already, and how much more comfortable they are on their feet. They're not nearly as clumsy as they once were. Whoops. As I just complimenting them how much less clumsy they were, the leading cub happened to trip over a branch. Okay, let's keep up with them. They are moving quite quickly. I will try to stay with them. So that's the lioness, that the sort of onto the Styx calling there. Not sure where the male is. I think we've left him behind. But these girls are on a mission this morning. So that other Matima male, he could be, I think he's been left quite far behind us. The ladies are on the move. Just stay with me for a second. I just need to chat to Ephraim on the radio. Ephraim, keep coming down Gary Main towards where that old quarry is. Near Weaver's Nest. Unfortunately, they have changed their direction a little bit. Now heading quite close to the boundary again. I'm just going to try a loop in front again. Hopefully she calls for us again. FM if you can, Fogash team. I think they might cross. FM. Affirmative F. So the Cubs are right next to us. They're having a good look at our vehicle. Not sure. What's this big green thing next to me? If my fuzzy with my pimpan is crossing at the moment. Oh, aren't they sweet? Oh, looks like she's come back outside. Morning, morning, morning. They came down from Cheetah Cutline and then they crossed off into this block, and I just found them popping up at Twin Dams now. The females are calling a lot. And the Timber's somewhere back there. He was following them. Have you guys seen the other Matimba yet this morning? There's only tracks of the one male coming across.
No, still no tracks. No Impalas on this side this morning, so it's all up here. Loud scoring. He's very north of our lodge as well.
Okay.
Lodge and north of Chitwa as well.
Maybe he went off to go join Nkuhuma. Okay, guys, we're going to turn around, see if we can catch up with these Cubs again. They looked like they were going to cross our boundary, and then they decided not to. And it looks like the females are just stopping for a little play session and grooming session with the little guys. So guys, they are right on our southern boundary. So we're just going to keep up with them now. They are very close to our boundary. That road we can see that them on there is our southern boundary. I'm not sure where the Matimba male is, but he has been spending quite a lot of time with the Styx I think it could be because maybe the auntie's about to come into estrus, so we're looking to mate with her shortly. But Dodie in British Columbia is wondering how would these cubs be protected in an area like this while they're moving through the bush, and would the fathers get involved? Dodie, they would get involved, possibly if it was something to do with if there were hyenas or possibly other male lions in the area. But generally the females would do quite a good job at protecting them themselves. Can hear them calling. Ow! Ow! Ephraim was on his way. I'll find out for you now.
Okay. It just they said it arranged just meeting now. It's a 2-vehicle lock again.
Okay.
So he can maybe just grab them. I think one of the guys in the east also grab a standby.
Cool.
Okay.
No problem.
Call from the north.
No problem. I think they're going to come your side shortly.
Yeah. One guy that inside of naked, but yeah. Cover it on the road for us. So that's beautiful.
So that male lion we saw and heard calling a little bit earlier is one of the 2 members of the dominant coalition around here, and have probably sired these cubs. And Marge in California was wondering, she said she thought the male lion would kill these cubs. Marge, not necessarily if he thinks they're his cubs, he's trying to spread his gene and his progeny, so he definitely wouldn't kill these cubs. These are his sort of next in line, so to speak, the passing on of his genes. Unfortunately, they are crossing across our southern boundary. Bye, little guys. Thanks for coming to visit me before I went on leave. So, off they disappear, but I just noticed behind me that big male Matimba is still here, so we're going to go and have a quick look at him. He's sitting in the very regal male lion pose at the moment. So while we get into position to have a look at that male lion, we're going to cross across to Scotty, who's got another member of the Big Five.
Welcome back, and I must say I am very, very jealous of the sighting you've just shared with Brent. The 2 Matimba males, and you got to hear them vocalizing, as well as the Styx lioness with their cute little cubs. I can't complain too much though, because we've also been lucky and have been enjoying the last 15 minutes or so with the herd of elephants. There's only 2 individuals left in a viewable area. The rest have moved into some very thick vegetation, sadly. And they're very, very slowly feeding. They've hardly been moving this morning. So on the go slow, which suits us perfectly. But we need to rush you back to Brent. He's got into a good position to show you another view of the lion before they cross over the boundary. So enjoy and see you shortly.
So there's the big Matimba male. He's also going to follow those females across. I think that other male we could hear was actually to the south of us. So he's going to go join the ladies and the cubs. So off he goes. Wasn't that an amazing way to start the morning? I'm very, very happy I got to see those little guys before I went on leave, and it's going to be fascinating to see how much they've grown while I'm away. So, wasn't that amazing? We've started off with the Styx Pride and the Styx little cubs and the Matima male. I think that other male we heard calling is definitely to the south of us, and I think they're heading in that general direction. But what a fantastic way to start the sunrise safari with lions and elephants. Hoping they'd give us one last roar before we carry on. But we're going to carry on moving and see what other tracks and what other animals we can find. So, on the cubs, we noticed there are 3 in this litter. And Kathy in New York is wondering whether this is a normal size for a litter. Well, according to the papers and what I've read, the average litter size for the Greater Kruger area is 2.7, so close to 3. So this is an average size litter for this area. They can be as small as 1, but generally 2 to 3 cubs in this area is an average litter. Such a pity they disappeared off to the south, but what a wonderful way to start. And I couldn't think of a better way to start the sunrise safari. So hopefully it continues on as such. So while we continue on to see what we can find, we're going to cross back to Scotty, who's with those pachyderms.
Wow, perfect timing to rejoin us here with the elephants. And what a great start to the morning it's been. 2 animals from the Big 5, which is often people's number 1 goal when coming out on safari, to see the Big 5. And we've got off to a great start this morning. Not that we are ticking any boxes. And I think we may continue to enjoy even better visuals of these elephants. They are slowly feeding towards us, and they have been feeding predominantly on acacia trees, of which there are 2 in front of us. And I'm guessing their natural progression will be to feed on these next 2 even closer by. It's a heavily pregnant female on the left, the big cow, and one of her calves that looks to be around 2.5 to 3 years old. And they do typically give birth, on average, every 3 or 4 years. Now, it will depend greatly on the individual cow and how old she is, and also the general conditions that they've been exposed to over the last few months and years. Because their gestation period is very long, I guess the planning of youngsters and the dependence on food and good conditions in terms of females coming into season will be stretched over a longer period of time. And keep an eye on that big cow as Andrew films around. We will get some more views of her bulging belly. Well, interestingly enough, only 30 minutes ago when we started the safari with all of you, there was hardly a cloud in the sky, And in just 30 minutes, we've basically been blanketed with cloud cover. And it's about 7/8 of our sky is covered with clouds. So the sunrise I was hoping to share with you is no longer going to happen. And it has already risen up. It's just hidden behind clouds at the moment. You can very clearly see her stomach bulging out to the side now. And I've never actually seen elephants give birth. I've arrived shortly afterwards. And wouldn't that be something incredible to witness? Not only the birthing process, I know you've got a nice tight shot on that belly now, but also the response of the rest of the herd would be really interesting to watch. I'm not sure how many hours after the elephants had given birth that I had seen, but about 6 or 7 cows had huddled closely around it, holding it up all with their trunks. And I'm guessing it was just a few hours old, that young calf, and it was really wonderful to see the excitement and care of the rest of the herd. And I believe Andrew's taking you on a great tour of the Ellie, and now you're getting some great visuals of her eyes. And that is one major benefit of the new camera that we are trialing at the moment. It's got incredible zoom, so I hope you're enjoying those close-ups. Listen to that. I'm fairly certain you would have been able to hear her chewing on those branches. Sadly, I do not have a monitor, so I'm not seeing your picture, which makes things a little bit tricky, but in a sighting like this, I guess I don't need to say too much, because this elephant is putting on a wonderful show for us. Now, you can see some toenails on the foot of the youngster. Interestingly, their tracks will bear no sign of those toenails. Oh, this is looking good. And thankfully, she has been feeding on the trees we were hoping she was going to, which is allowing for some wonderful views. And the sun has made an attempt just in the last few seconds, and the sky must look absolutely beautiful with these ellies in the background, or the foreground. As I was saying though, the tracks of elephant, you won't see any toe marks. It'll just be one big round pad, or oval pad. And they're such calming animals to be around when they're in this mood, but as I say that, look at the youngster. Got a little bit excited and came towards us, head held high, ears out, expressing exactly how big it is to us. But as I was saying, they can be such soothing animals to spend time with, especially when they're in a mood like this, completely relaxed with us, going about their business as if we weren't even here. They're not always in that frame of mind, and it does depend on their mood and also where you may be viewing the elephants. Sadly, they are persecuted by poachers, so in some parts of Africa they will have very little tolerance for us as humans and will actively actually chase us. But here in the Sabi Sands, the elephants know they are safe, and even if they've come from elsewhere in the Kruger National Park where they could be exposed to negative human interactions, when they get here, many years of them coming back and realizing what kind of behavior they can expect from us as humans here has allowed us to get really great relationships with them, and most of the time they are completely relaxed with us. Well, wouldn't it be nice to know how many months into her 22-month gestation she is? And there's some beautiful dark sky in the background. So what a morning it's been already. A great sighting of the lions and now these elephants. And it's so good to have all of you with us. And if it's your first time joining, let us know. We always like hearing about new names and new faces, and also where exactly you may be watching from. Isn't it incredible that people from all around the world in different time zones are all teamed up together here with us on safari? It's a concept, I guess, that a few years ago many people would have ridiculed the thoughts of being on a live safari. But thanks to the technical wizards out there on the planet and involved in our WildEarth team, we miraculously can share these moments with you. Well, as I said that, I've just seen some lion tracks on the road. They don't look very fresh, but there is a lion track heading in the same direction as us, so we're going to continue. This herd of elephants have moved off into a very thick bush, and there's this perfect blue patch of sky that's just appeared. And I don't think we're going to go anywhere just yet, because we're going to let Andrew play around with the beautiful scene here. It's incredible how quickly these clouds are moving in and out, I guess, because earlier there was not nearly as much blue sky. I can hear some ground hornbills calling off in the distance. Do, 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 do. But I'd be very surprised if you can pick it up. It's quite faint. And sadly, it is north of our northern boundary, so we cannot go and hunt them down. They are rare birds that are the front cover of my bird book, so quite convenient for us. It's almost turkey-like, and turkey in both size and looks to a degree. There are not many in this area, sadly, so it would be great to see them. We have on a handful of occasions managed to share a few sightings of these ground hornbills with you, and at least we know they are nearby, but it may be some time before they come onto our property this morning, so we're going to continue. Pregnant female, and how nice it would be to see her giving birth. And William is now asking, what circumstances will elephants give birth under? I'm fairly certain they'll give birth just about anywhere where they are required to. They will be kind of at the mercy of the herd, and they will keep moving with the herd permanently. I guess herd members may realize and understand that one female may need to give birth, and therefore slightly alter their plans, but they will probably just give birth anywhere in the bush. There's no more favorable or less favorable places where an elephant could give birth, and because they do have the safety and security of the herd, they'll just about do it anywhere when the time comes. That's as far as I'm aware. But it'll be interesting to know if anybody else has got any thoughts or stories on all the birds I want to show you are calling on the wrong side of the road. A pearl-spotted owlet's just rung out, a tiny little owl. But it's a bit far off, and again, now another one's calling back to the initial one. Has Andrew spotted it? No, he hasn't. But he has spotted another pretty bird that we will try and show you now. I guess it may just be a silhouette, but we'll see what Andrew can do with the camera. Now, while we're watching this lilac-breasted roller silhouette, we may hear the pearl-spotted owlet call. Now, a few of you are interested to know how old that calf was that was with the pregnant female. I know Gilly and Gloria. Oh, there goes the roller. And I would say it's about 2 to 3 years old, at a guess. So that was my guesstimate that I said a little bit earlier. And it was a little bull, a young male calf. Okay, well, I'm going to pick up the speed a little bit, try and cover some ground and see if we don't find any useful tracks coming either into Djuma or out of Djuma. It's important to know both. Ideally, they would all be going in from left to right. The lion track that I did see earlier wasn't fresh, so going to be of no use to us. And while we continue patrolling this northern boundary, we're going to send you back to Brent for an update.
Welcome back, everyone. So we've checked the whole eastern boundary and no tracks yet. We're on the northern boundary as well, and I think Scott is checking from the opposite direction. So we're covering ground today, making sure we can find you as much as possible. I'm going to do a quick pop down towards the Buffelshoek waterhole, and then from there I'm going to head further south and further west and slowly meander through the center of Djuma and see if we come up with any tracks. I'm quite keen to check on that area where Scott and I were tracking that leopard yesterday on the sunset safari, see if any tracks come out the block, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we get some luck. Always important to check these intersections. A lot of the roads are built originally on big animal paths, so they still use these roads very regularly to walk down, especially your cats. So we're going to approach the waterhole quite slowly, see if we can spot anything. So we've been quite lucky. We've seen these little cubs quite a few times. And the last time I was there, I think I figured out the sex. I'm not 100% sure yet, but Kevin and Angie were wondering what the sex of the cubs are. There are two, from what I could see, there are two females and one young male. We're approaching the Buffalo's Hook waterhole now. Very, very still water on this very still morning. And there is an animal. It's a little grey duiker right in the top corner of the dam. Probably just come down for a drink and slowly start heading away back towards the bush on the edge. Quite nice to see a duiker out in the open. We are quite a distance from it, probably why it hasn't taken off. Quite often they do take off at high speed when we try to get the camera on them. Little tail flicking. Very, very quiet. You can hear some Cape turtle doves calling. You hear a crested franklin, a green-backed Camaroptera. Quite a few Cape turtle doves calling, and since it's my last drive before I go on leave, I think I'm going to allow myself one cheesy game ranger joke. So when you hear a Cape turtle dove calling, this is in the morning. A lot of people, the way they remember the call is it says Cape turtle, Cape turtle. But a very cheesy game ranger joke. In the morning, he says, work harder, work harder, work harder. And then in the evening, he changes his tune at about 5 o'clock and says, drink lager, drink lager, drink lager. There we go. I'm done with cheesy jokes. We're going to continue on. Not much happening here. See what else we can find. You should have to bear with me. I'm about to go through this big dip behind the waterhole, and sometimes that does cause signal breakup. So bear with me for a few minutes. Or a few seconds as I dip through there. Okay, we're through the dip. So we are going to start slowly heading towards that area where Scotty and I were trying to find that leopard. Hopefully we do get some luck with tracks. But continuing on those lines we saw this morning, Sherry noted that the female, well, as I said, the female was quite hungry. He said if that female doesn't get a meal, would those cubs not survive? Well, she was hungry, but she wasn't too hungry. I'm sure she's still producing enough milk for those cubs. And those cubs are already at that very young age of 3 months. They will be supplementing with meat, but they will still continue to feed off mother's milk for another 3 months. So if she didn't catch a meal indefinitely, yes, I don't think they're in any danger at the moment. Those cubs look very nice and fat and healthy and full of play, full of playfulness and the joy of life in the early morning, scuttling around, jumping on each other. They were complaining a little bit to Mom. Ow, ow, ow. So they're probably trying to complain to their mom, it's time to stop walking, we're hungry. I'm quite sure she's okay for milk production at the moment. But if she had to not have a meal for another 4 or 5 days, that might start taking effect. Talking about the different lions and coalitions and prides we have in this area, James on Twitter is wondering, do the Birmingham males pose any threat to this coalition at this time? Not right now, because they are quite far to the west, but they definitely do pose a threat to those cubs if they decided to come and try compete for the Matimba's area. If they were to kill those males, even if they didn't stay in the area where the Styx were and they continued a bit north, there could be another group of young males that will fill that vacuum from the east or from the south. So yes, definitely all male lions, especially male lions in a coalition of that size that is moving into the area, could pose a possible threat to those cubs. On the Birmingham boys, John from California was wondering if I had any updates. John, they're still far to the west of us in a property called Ottawa, quite a long way away from where we are now, probably 7 or 8 kilometers, and they have killed a buffalo. So I think a big buffalo, so I think they're going to be stationary there for at least another day or two before they start moving. So those last leopard tracks I had yesterday were heading in this general direction, heading east. I've checked the eastern boundary, there's no tracks going out. So we're going to slowly meander around through this area, hoping that we might pick up some more tracks. Right? Copy, Scotty. I'm on Gordy Pond at the moment, and I'm going to try and make my way back down towards Batalia. We're just going to stop here and listen for a few seconds and see if we hear anything. Okay, so we can't hear anything just yet. We're going to continue on for a little bit longer, and then we're probably going to stop and listen again. But we've had a nice comment in from Rosie. Said, I can't leave until James gets back because we can't lose both the nutters at the same time. Well, don't worry, you guys are going to be in such capable hands with Steph and with Jamie, and I know you guys are going to be great to Jamie, who's taking her first official safari, this sunset safari, and you guys all know Steph, and I'm sure you guys will look after them and make them feel as welcome and as special as we do every drive. So I wouldn't worry too much. Maybe, Rosie, you might find another nutter. Who knows? Well, speaking about birds that have calls, and we know the Shelley's Franklin, which is one of my favorites. To drink a beer, to drink a beer, to drink a beer. And then the Cape Turtle Dove, who says, drink lager, drink lager. Matt in Texas says he's wondering, after 5 do the Shelleys and the Cape Turtle get together and have a little chin wag over a cool beverage? I would like to think so, but I think they're more water-based. But it is quite a funny picture to imagine the Shelleys and Cape Turtle Dove getting together after 5 for a bit of R&R. Back to some serious stuff and back to lions. Dave on Twitter is wondering which area in Africa has the highest density of lions. Now that is a very good question, and I'm not 100% sure. I would say it is probably a toss-up between the eastern part of the Kruger National Park, around Satara on those big basalt floodplains, and let me think about this. Possibly the Mara, or possibly central Botswana, Naipan area. Why don't you guys give me a hand? See if you can find out which area of Africa has the highest density of lions. I'm quite sure there's going to be quite a few varying reports, but between us, I'm sure we can try and figure out which is probably the most correct. But a really, really good question. I know leopards. The highest density of leopards in Africa is the South Luangwa in Zambia. But lions, I'm not 100% sure. So if you guys can let me know, you can do that by emailing us on questions@wildearth.tv. Sorry about the bumps. Or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Lions on a kill. I just saw lion tracks on the road. Now there's lions on a buffalo kill right in front of me. Isn't that amazing? I just saw a lion track come onto the road, and it looks like... Who is this? Who is this? Is this the Nkuhumas? It looks to be the Nkuhumas on another buffalo. I don't know how they got here. I didn't see any tracks on the boundary. Good Nkuhumas. That was definitely not what I was expecting to see. Isn't that amazing? I just saw a lion track on the road. I looked up and I was like, no ways, there's lions on a buffalo kill. It seems I have Lady Luck on my side on this sunrise safari. Morning, Junior. Are you fat again? Well, I better call this in. But I literally think these lions have flown across the road. We have not seen any tracks. Scott's checked the whole northern boundary. I've checked the whole eastern boundary. And unless we were very blind this morning, I'm not sure where these Nkuhumas could have come back in from. Stations located in Nkuhuma Ngala on a Nyaribamba at the junction of Gwaripan and Drakensberg. So I'm going to try reposition now. Affirmative. It sounds like all the other guys just as surprised as me. He said, Nkuhuma? The Bamba and Yari? I didn't see any tracks. I said, well, I'm just as bemused as everyone. So isn't this incredible? Well, the Nkuhumas are definitely doing well on the buffalo front at the moment. Looks like another nice old big bull. Scott's just on the radio. Where did they come from? And Scotty, I have no idea. I was driving down Gwaripan. I saw a lion track, looked up, and they were all lying in the middle of the road with the buffalo in the road. Isn't that incredible? It seems like Junior's had his good glut. We're going to move around so we can see a little bit more. Firm tax at the junction of Gwaripan and Drakensberg. Just going to try to pop round so we can see a bit more. That would also explain the Styx. You know, the Styx lines were not far from here. And that could explain why they were so highly mobile. Just judging from how much has been eaten, this probably would have happened early this morning. And there we've got some bloody faces. I know the last time we were asked, why don't the lions have very bloody faces? How long does it take to clean them? And if we have a look here, we've got some very bloody faces. Bloody paws. They are literally in the middle of the road at the moment. And also just judging by the fact that they haven't managed to clean and lick themselves too much yet, this is quite a fresh kill. And there's actually, if we zoom in on the stomach there, it's so fresh there's steam still coming off that buffalo. So this could have happened in the last hour, would be my guess. And then Junior would have gone in and opened the stomach, and he would have gone in for the good stuff, the livers, lungs, heart, and the others would have started eating around the neck and from the base. And you can see there's steam actually coming off that buffalo. That's how fresh this kill is. So in the last hour or two, you can see a lot of the meat's still there, and you can see how quickly lions can eat enough to sort of get fat and go to sleep. So look at this lioness, there we go. Look at her paw, you can see that completely drenched in blood. So she probably would have also been getting right stuck inside that stomach. You can see that there's been some serious feeding going on a little bit earlier. I haven't had a chance to clean. Oh, now a lot of that sort of dark wetness will be from the blood, and we got asked last time what happens to all the blood, and quite a lot of the lions will drink quite a lot of it when they have the opportunity. And also on top of all that other dark stuff is probably the stomach contents, which you can see have been pulled out there. Well, it's definitely been a lion morning thus far. I'm still completely baffled as to where they came from. Well, apparently there's quite a bit of discussion on Twitter about how lucky I am at the moment, and possibly there's a little bit of envy amongst the other guides around. So far this morning we've had tiny lion cubs, and now we've got a lion on a buffalo kill. So I always like to say you make your own luck. Be interesting to see if well, it seems like they've heard something. Possibly Howard the hyena is lurking around. I'm sure he would have heard them make the kill. And how very nice of them to make the kill in the middle of the road. No tracking needed. They are listening quite intently. I wonder if those Styx are still calling. They're quite far from here now, but where I found those tracks this morning, probably as the crow flies, is less than 2 kilometers. So if one of those dominant male lions, the Matimbas, were possibly to hear or smell this kill, they would most definitely make their way here for a free meal, eat as much as they could, but they wouldn't steal the kill from the lions, and that's what Curious One was wondering. But they would share or take the lion's share, but the other lions would still have a chance to feed on it a bit more. Seems to be a time of plenty for the Nkuhuma Pride at the moment. Might get a bit of snarly there. We saw that brief, wasn't too serious tap. And as we noticed on the last carcass with the Nkuhuma Pride, while there's a lot of meat there's a lot less aggression between the animals, and as soon as that meat starts running out, that aggression will increase. And you can see Junior has already eaten his fill, and even though he is a young male, and much off you go, just playing a little bit. So even though he is younger than most of the lionesses, even though he is still physically much bigger, so he will dominate the carcass, and he's probably the one who got all the good bits, like the liver and the lungs and all that. So just his physical size leads him to dominate the feeding with Nkuhuma Pride. We'll try to change the angle a little bit and move a tiny bit closer. And beautiful sunlight coming out. Sorry guys, I'm just listening for a second. So I think I can't hear from here, but I think they could be hearing the Styx calling in the distance. So this is now the second buffalo in a very short space of time we've seen the Nkuhuma Pride on, and Sherry from Ohio is wondering, is this as large as the last one? I would say it is very similarly sized. It is an old buffalo bull, so probably what happened would have been very similar to what we watched last week with the hunt and the lions jumping on top of it, and I think they probably would have taken this buffalo out of a very similar sized, or a similar group, a group of old buffalo bulls, and they managed to get one away from the rest and managed to jump on him and take him down. So there is a possibility that as the dry season progresses and it is a bit harder for a buffalo to find good grass and good and water, that these buffalo bulls that are towards the end of their lives might be a little bit easier for the lions to catch, and we will definitely keep an eye on that as we go further into the dry season to see if the Nkuhumas keep catching more buffalo, and not out of herds, these buffalo bulls that are sort of towards over 10 years old and getting towards the end of their life. You can see the mass amount of flies on the side of the lion there. Now guys, I'm just going to turn around quickly. I'm not sure what this lioness is looking at. I thought it might be Howard the hyena wandering around to come have a check whether it was worth calling in some friends. You can see her ears are quite flat and she's staring intently into the bush there. I can't actually see what she's seeing. Maybe she's hearing something I can't hear. You can see that huge pile of undigested grass. to try and decide, am I hungry or am I not full enough yet? But you can see the bellies aren't quite as distended as we saw them after that, towards the end of that last buffalo. So I'm sure quite a few of you are wondering about the smell, and strangely enough, the fresh carcasses, the smell isn't that bad at all. The strongest smell we're smelling is that, oh, what the lioness just stood on there, and she's smelling it as well. It's the undigested grasses from the buffalo's stomach. Going to start trying to cover it, because that smell does really permeate through the air. It's quite a difficult one to describe. How would you say it smells, Wim?
A bit like a cattle ranch.
Yeah, a bit like a very strong, like sort of a feedlot. So a lot of cows in a very small, more small smart. It's not a completely unpleasant smell, but it is quite a pungent smell. And we did notice the Nkuhumas last time burying that stomach content to try stop that smell spreading far and wide, and that's another reason I think this carcass is very fresh, apart from the fact there was literally steam coming out of it earlier, is the fact that they haven't taken the time to bury that stomach content yet. Morning, Andrew.
Morning, thanks so much for this, man.
Don't thank me for it. It was complete luck. I saw the tracks just there, and I looked up and I said, oh, they've caught a buffalo. What happened?
Crazy.
I didn't even see where they came in.
Wow, because I know Brent and Scott was saying no tracking, right?
I've done cheetah cut line and to Buffalo's Hook, and I didn't see anything.
Sure. This is lucky. Hell of a morning.
There you go, using those premolars and molars to cut through that thick buffalo hide so she can get to the rump. Yeah, there's some of the gluttons who have already eaten so much they have to go lie down and start digesting. Lions especially develop to have a very fast digestive system, and this enables them to take advantage of these large kills in quite a short space of time. And one of the reasons for this is in case they do lose the kill to a male lion or to hyenas, so they'll be able to eat, digest very quickly, and start eating again. So absolutely incredible how nature sort of takes care of itself like that. Yeah, move around again, see if we can change the angle a little bit to see into around the head where the other lioness is feeding. I would have to go a different way. There's one of the sub-adult females is blocking the last route I used. And that's one thing that happens around these big lion carcasses, lion kills, is that quite often you have to pick your way between bloated and sleepy lions. Oh. What do you think, Jim? From here, maybe? I can see. I think we were in the best position. We're not going to be able to get another one just yet, so I'm going to go back here to where we were. And you can see that big pile of stomach content lying on the outside there. And Ellen from Arkansas was wondering, would someone come clean up what is left of this buffalo off the road and clean the stomach content? Well, Ellen, that's the amazing thing. Nature takes care of itself quite well. That stomach content will probably be buried by the lions at a later stage, and the rest of the carcass will be pulled by them and moved around, and then after they've finished, the hyenas will move it again. So I'm quite sure we don't have anyone who comes to clean up and move these things off the road. Nature sort of takes care of itself. It's so funny watching her step on the stomach content because it's quite wet. She doesn't seem to like putting her toes on there. You can see at some stage she was actually lying in the stomach content. You can see that from her sort of front elbow and under her belly there. So the majority of the internal organs have already been eaten, and that would be the first thing that Junior probably would have eaten, and the only thing that's left is a little bit of probably the stomach lining. We can see, if we come out a little bit, there we go, we can see a bit of the stomach lining there near the hoof, and the brain, which the lions are not going to be able to get to. And James was wondering, isn't those organs going to attract scavengers? The smell will attract the scavengers, and probably a lot of the other things like hyenas and possibly even male lions would have heard them make this kill. So that is, and the smell from that stomach content would definitely attract hyena, but I think a lot of what would attract scavengers to this area is the smell. This carcass is probably going to be a little bit easier for the vultures to spot than the last one, just because it is so out in the open. The other was under some trees. So I'm quite sure you guys are going to be lucky, and you're going to be able to watch the deconstruction of another buffalo by the Nkuhuma Pride and by the different scavengers and animals that take advantage after the lions have left. So still on the scavengers. So the Nkuhuma Pride is 8 lions strong. And Angie in Ohio is wondering how many hyenas would it take to push them off this kill. And if wild dogs arrived, would it be any different? Well, let's just deal with wild dogs first because they're the simplest. Angie, wild dogs would stay very far away from this. They are very nervous of lions. Lions are one of the biggest killers of wild dogs in the wild, so they would definitely try to avoid this. Now, hyenas, it's a very interesting thing. So let's say if one of the Matima males was here, there would be no chance that even 20 hyenas would try steal. Without the Matima's males here and with Junior, difficult to say, but I would guess it'd probably take 10 plus hyenas to be able to drive them off this kill. And I'm pretty sure the clan we have in this area is big enough, but it's that risk versus reward. Hyenas quite often might let the lions feed for quite a bit, and then once they're sort of full and lazy and not so worried about defending the carcass, would they try push them off. But lions are very, very aggressive in their defense of carcasses. They'll chase vultures, they'll chase jackal, hyenas, and anything that might come their way. I've even seen a lion get very upset at a blacksmith lapwing that came near its carcass. Oh, little nip, this is my end. So we've been really, really lucky with lions. On this sunrise safari, we saw the Styx with those 3 little cubs to start off early in the morning. And Jennifer is wondering, what is the distance between these 2 lions? Well, Jennifer, from where I first found the tracks, it's probably not that far, probably about 2.5 kilometers. But from where we left them crossing to the south, it's probably about 4 or 5 kilometers now. And I'm 100% certain that when that Styx lioness was roaring and the Matimba was roaring, these lions would have definitely been able to hear it. I didn't hear them responding, but they might be wanting to keep quiet and enjoy their buffalo, and now once they've got lots of full bellies, they might answer. Oh, and one disappearing right inside the buffalo carcass. So on the last buffalo kill that Nkuhuma's made, towards the end, that ginger Matimba male arrived. Ellen Fowler has been wondering if he heard this kill taking place, surely he would have come back, or does his libido take preference at the moment and he's chasing after that Styx ladies? And I think it's a very good question. I think he looked quite well fed compared to the others, so I don't think he was as worried about feeding. So in that circumstance, his libido would definitely take preference, and only once I think he had secured the mating with that other Styx female would he possibly move back here, and hopefully for the Nkuhumas they'll be finished before that happens. But you never know, he might arrive at the sunset safari. You can actually hear the meat being pulled off. I'm just going to keep quiet for a little bit and let you listen to these sounds that are surrounding this carcass. Isn't this incredible? We're able to sit mere feet away from a pride of lions devouring a buffalo. And we've been so lucky with lions on this sunrise safari. I think in total we've seen 14 different lions so far this morning. So what a wonderful, wonderful farewell drive before I go and leave for me. And so wonderful that you guys are going to be able to continue watching the Nkuhumas on this buffalo while I'm gone. So quite an important sort of visual marker when reading lion behavior is their tails and their ears. And quite often around a kill you can see quite a lot of slashing of tail. At the moment they all seem quite relaxed. That's because there is still a lot of meat left on this carcass. Once that starts running out, they'll definitely start getting a little bit more aggressive with each other. And you'll watch the tails will flick at high speed when there is aggression. Even you could get some now as that sub-adult tries to find a gap to get some food, but we will see shortly. Hello, Dirty. So as you can see, that lioness looks like she might have heard something. I'm not sure what she's heard. Staring quite intently off to the sort of south. But as you can see, this one lioness is lying right on top of all the stomach contents or fecal matter, and Lev in Brooklyn is wondering, is it okay for the lions to be so eat and be so close to that the stomach content? Well, Lev, the lions literally are designed to be able to deal with these type of things. I mean, they open up animal stomachs all the time, and there is very little that will from there that will going to harm a lion. A lion's probably got far worse parasites of its own already in its stomach, so I wouldn't worry about them too much. So guys, I hope you guys are getting some great screenshots, some wonderful images of these lions with those dirty faces. Not so pristine looking at the moment. So if those of you have just joined us or logged in a little late, we've had an incredible morning so far. We started off when we heard the Styx and the Matimbas roaring. We rushed down to that area. We were tracking them at the time, and we managed to find them. They unfortunately crossed to the south, and then we were actually just driving down. I was heading back into that last area where I had leopard tracks yesterday. I saw one lion track on the road, and I sort of stopped, looked at it, and looked up, and the Nkuhuma Pride had a buffalo kill in the middle of the road. I'm still not quite sure how they got here, but really, really great and exciting to have them here. And I think this was a very fresh kill. There was actually steam coming out of the buffalo's stomach when we first found it. Or we could get a little bit of growling action here as another lioness comes in to try feed. So we were at the Buffalo's Hook waterhole earlier. So Buffalo's Hook waterhole is not far from here at all. It's probably less than a kilometer as the crow flies. And Margaret on Twitter was wondering where was the closest waterhole for the lions to bathe in. Margaret, the lions bathe by licking themselves and each other, and they wouldn't use water from the waterhole at all. What they would do is go there to get a drink of water once they were probably finished with this buffalo. Although lions do drink water a lot when they feel the need to, or if there's water around, if they have the choice, if they have the choice, they'll drink water. But in dry and arid areas, lions don't need to drink water. They actually get enough moisture from their prey. was hoping for a bit more growling and snarling. So you can see that lioness who's in shot at the moment is around the head. Molly was wondering, is she going eating the tongue, or is she eating the throat muscle or the throat? The tongue has already been eaten from what I can see. So she's just eating on the neck, the muscles around on the neck. As you can see just through there, you can see right through the bottom jaw. So the tongue has already been eaten. And it looks like Young and Junior is coming back into the soiree. So get ready, we might get some growls. But it looks like they're still feeding amicably for now. So we're going to stick here with the Nkuhuma Pride on another buffalo. But we will be back a little later. We're going to go check in with Scotty, who I know is on the tracks of something. So hopefully he's had some luck, and we'll be back a little later in the show.
Welcome back, everyone, and well done to Brent for finding not one but two different lion sightings within half an hour of one another. So really exciting stuff there. And also well done to the Nkuhuma Pride for managing to successfully take down another Cape buffalo. It's a very difficult prey item for them to successfully bring down. Now you'll notice I'm driving very slowly and looking down at the road quite a lot. There's been male leopard tracks in the area of Treehouse Warthog heading up and down, backwards and forwards, and I'm just trying to drive around this area and establish which direction the leopard ended up finally heading in. I'm guessing because of the tracks and the signs that we are seeing of them moving up and down and backwards and forwards means to me that there could be two male leopards here, possibly vocalizing and having some kind of a territorial dispute, possibly Tingana and Mvula, both of which overlap in the specific area that we're in. So we're not too far though from where Brent was with the Styx lioness earlier on. And what's making things tricky is I've got tracks on the left-hand side of the road coming towards us and tracks on the right-hand side of the road going away. It's all a bit up and down, but at least there are some great tracks here. And I want to try and show them to you. I found a nice clear patch of road here where we should very clearly be able to see the tracks coming towards us. it won't be so easy to point out the tracks going away from us. Andrew, how are things looking there?
Very good.
Well done. So I don't have a monitor, so difficult for me to explain, as I sometimes do with my finger, the individual parts of the track. But you'll just have to take my word for it that there are tracks going up and down in this area. So let's carry on. Maybe we'll get lucky when you're with us. And we'll find, failing that, I'm going to continue to fine comb this area. Now we've got tracks in about a half-a-mile radius, all going in different directions. And that's what's making our lives a little bit tricky. But still very good prospects, and I'm hoping these leopard aren't too far wherever they are, or if it is just one, wherever it is. But the tricky thing, especially with male leopard, is that they can cover huge distances in quite short spaces of time, especially when there are territorial disputes of any sort. And I wouldn't be concerned about the lion's movements too much. Leopard coexist with lion, and obviously they avoid them, but they can sometimes move surprisingly close to them. So I don't think we should be fooled by thinking that these leopard have disappeared simply because the Nkuhuma Pride are on a buffalo kill very far from here, or that the Styx Pride was seen in this general area and the Matimbas were vocalizing. The leopards will naturally take notes of that, but not alter their plans too greatly. I think we might find a kill here, and that might... All squirrels are alarm calling. There's a battalion that's just taken off. Okay, things are looking good. I think we're in luck here. I think we are going to find a leopard with the kill. Please, or just a leopard for a second and listen carefully. But the fact that the battalion was there indicates to me that there may be a kill, because they will scavenge. Just going to stop for a second and listen carefully. Going to take a closer look in here. A few very nice trees that a leopard could hoist a kill into, and maybe that is what would explain the tracks heading up and down in different directions. Sorry about that loud noise. If we don't have any luck in the next moment or two, what I may do is get off on foot. It's far easier to explore when on foot. No luck. I was hoping up in this boer bean tree was going to be the kill with the leopard lying below. So as I was saying, maybe the fact that tracks are heading up and down in different directions could mean that the leopard has successfully made a kill here and is headed in one direction to drink and then come back in that same direction. So that is a possibility, or that there was more than one male here interacting with one another. But I'm going to take a closer look around on foot and send you back to Brent and the lions. We will hopefully see you later with a leopard.
Welcome back, everyone. Still with the Nkuhuma Pride as they are devouring this buffalo. You can see some of the members of the Pride are still in and are now sleeping off just to the right and behind the buffalo carcass. So those of you might have just joined us or a bit late, we've had a very much lion-filled morning. We saw the Styx and the cubs to start off with, and then we just drove around the corner and the Nkuhumas were here eating a buffalo. So a time of plenty for the Nkuhuma Pride. And just in case you are a very new viewer, we are sitting live next to lions eating a Cape buffalo, and apart from being live, we're also interactive, so you can send us questions on the email address questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. So this is a nice big buffalo bull that we have here, and Judith from North Carolina was wondering how much does a buffalo bull weigh. Around 800 kilograms, Judith. And also how much meat would be on it. So out of that 800 kilograms, you can probably say close on 40% is bone. So you probably are looking at a couple of 100 kilograms of meat. So lots of meat, and obviously the intestines and stomach content and that take up a lot of weight. So you're probably looking at 300 to 400 kilograms of meat on a buffalo. So as you notice, the lions aren't big chewers of their food. They tend to sort of gulp down chunks rather. Marianne on Twitter was wondering whether that was the case. Looks like there might be a little bit of aggression coming as this one female tries to sneak her head into a feeding position. Excuse me. So you can see there's still quite amicable feeding going on, and as the carcass gets smaller and smaller and the meat less and less, the more aggression might come out between the individuals in the pride. I think taking advantage of the one with its head inside the carcass can't see. seems to be a slightly accelerated feeding for the moment. Some nice morning light coming through. Hopefully warms us up a little. She's trying to find a gap without causing too much pandemonium. But it seems all available sort of feeding gaps are taken at the moment. So as you can see, that lioness has got her head completely inside the carcass. Karen was wondering, is she lying on buffalo dung? Well, not dung yet. It's semi-digested grass from the buffalo carcass. So from the buffalo stomach, so it's undigested grass. So not exactly poo, but it would poop or would become that though. It is sort of stomach contents. And then you can see a lot of the lions, even though they're very full, they keep eating. And Penny Pine was wondering whether they gorge themselves till they pop. Yeah, they do. And with a very quick digestive system that they have, it's an evolutionary trait that they will eat as much as possible, then they'll go lie down next to the carcass and then come back and start feeding again in quite a short time for the amount that they eat. And that is, so they can take advantage of these bigger carcasses, eat as much as possible, sleep it off for a little bit, then start eating again in case they might lose the carcass to another predator or other lions. Well, here we go. See the tail start flicking? Oh, she's sort of sidling in there. Oh, we're going to get a little bit of an argument. So So while we keep an eye on what's happening here with the Nkuhumas, we're going to cross across to Scotty, who's got some antelope at the waterhole.
Welcome back, everyone, and we have stumbled upon a large herd of impala that are all disappearing out of frame now. So I'm just going to reposition quickly. No luck with the leopard that I was hoping to find with the kill, but we are still searching, and it's certainly not over yet, so still feeling confident that we could get lucky. But time is a little bit against us. We don't have too much longer on the show. And because I've been very focused on trying to find that leopard and not seeing too much in between, I hope you've been enjoying spending some quality time with Brent and the Lions of the Buffalo Kill. It is really interesting how some drives you just find nothing to actually share with you guys, not even birds. Every bird we tried to stop and show you flew off. That's the beauty of being on a wild safari. We don't know what we're going to see, and sometimes one vehicle will be in all the action. These impala seem to be getting a little bit frisky with one another, and as we arrived a few moments ago, there were two of the rams locking horns, and I'm hoping they may display that for us again. I was hoping to find a leopard kill up in the tree, and Mavis is asking, once the leopard has hoisted the kill up into the tree, will it then feed up there, or will it take it down when it's time to feed and then simply store it up there? More often than not, Mavis, once the kill is in the tree, they will feed on it up there. But I have seen certain occasions, especially leopards with cubs, where the kill often gets dislodged, and they will then feed on it on the ground, and rather than the female permanently taking it back up the tree, she'll just leave it at the base for easier feeding. And once any potential danger comes, oh look, it looks like the impala get at it again. I think there's a tree in the way, but they could move out of that spot quite quickly. They can move very quickly when they are fighting. I'm just going to creep forward a bit. This can't be working too well. Oh, impala, why do you have to do this behind the bush? Okay, good. Now you can carry on. I'm assuming they're back behind the bush, Andrew.
It's all good. They're moving in all around.
You may be able to see the other impala in the foreground. He was rubbing his orbital glands on a branch. And interesting to see these impala going at it now, because it's not really the right time for them to be fighting. But I guess good practice for the next rutting season, which will be in the following year in May. The impala, unlike some of the herbivores in this area, have already finished off all of their breeding for this season. And they will rut during a very specific period, a kind of 2-week to 1 month period of intense rutting. And what this does is it floods the market with young impala in November or December, giving predators only a small window of opportunity to prey on very young and unwise lambs. But like I say, even though this isn't the rutting season, these impala are taking some time to practice for the next one. while we sit and watch these impala, it also provides us with a great opportunity to listen to the sounds of the surrounding area. Oh, that's better in a nice open spot. Let's see how aggressive they get with one another here. Oh. It's quite interesting. The third impala, which looks to be bigger than them, keeps approaching them and causing them to stop fighting, almost like the referee. There he comes again. Okay, now we'll have to reposition, although they seem to have stopped doing their business. So we're going to send you back to Brent, and I'm going to move off into another area quite quickly to check for any further sign of these leopard tracks. We'll see you all a little bit later.
You can see that engorged belly of one of the little sub-adults. And then if we come up and look, quite a scary sight. Lioness who is feeding inside the carcass. You can see how bloody and dirty her face is. Oof, tired kitty. So, chatting about all the different lions we see and been following over the last little while, Football Expert was wondering, would 5 Birmingham male lions be able to chase off 8 Nkuhumas from a kill? Most definitely. The Nkuhumas would make themselves very scarce if the 5 Birminghams happen to be here. So you can see there's still 4 lions feeding on the carcass. Junior has taken over prime position at the rump. One of the sub-adults is feeding around the neck, and there's 2 lionesses sort of in the center. Other 2 lionesses actually walk past and are sleeping in the shade behind us. So we can see one sub-adult very much stuck into the buffalo. The other sub-adult is sleeping with a very big belly. Janet's wondering, do they eat last? Not necessarily, Janet. They will fight and snarl and scream with the rest of the lions to try get as deep in there as possible. So not last, but they might not get as much in the beginning as the others, although this little female off to the left seems to have done a very good job earlier, and you can see that incredibly distended belly. So one thing might be quite interesting here, this carcass is very much out in the open, so it was going to get quite hot, and there's no real available shade for them to drag it in, unless they drag it quite far. So it could be interesting. I think they will possibly, once there's a little bit less of that carcass left, drag
All of it. I'll give it.
drag it into the shade somewhere. And I think that's exactly where that lioness is heading. for that patch of shade right there. Oh, heading deeper into the bush, looking for some better shade, obviously. What a great way to start this safari today. We've been so lucky with lions, Styx and Nkuhumas in one drive. So guys, we've been so lucky with lions, and there are some other game drive vehicles who want to get in here. So we found them, so immediately we're number one, and we spent such a great time with them. I am going to give the other game drive vehicles a chance to come in, so we're going to move along, but I'm sure Jamie or Steph will definitely be back here on the Sunset Safari to follow up, so you guys can keep going with the deconstruction of this buffalo. So the Nkuhumas are having a great time with buffalo hunting at the moment. So really exciting, great to have them back on Djuma, but we're going to leave them be for the moment, and I'm sure the Sunset Safari, definitely someone will be here to follow up. So let's continue on and see what else we can find. Cheers, Joyce. Yeah, I'll see you in 2 weeks or so. I'll see you in about 2 weeks or so. Off to Zambia on Friday. Sorry, Tax? Okay, no problem. Cheers, guys. When we did have a good look at that buffalo's belly a little bit earlier, that had been opened up, she was wondering whether it was covered in ticks, and it most definitely was. But what's amazing is those ticks will start migrating off the body very quickly. Sort of as soon as the heart stops, bumpy, starts beating. It doesn't take ticks very long to move off a carcass. In this circumstance, I think the ticks have been quite lucky. They're probably, a lot of them have moved straight from the buffalo onto the lions. But it is incredible how quickly ticks can pick up that something is dead, and I probably think it's because the blood stops flowing through the veins, so it's not as easy for them to feed on it. Finally, I'm going to try and get to that area where to look for those leopard tracks we were following up on yesterday. We keep bumping into lions every time we try to go there. So we saw those lions licking the carcass quite a lot, and Anna-Marie was wondering, does that soften the skin as well as licking the blood? It does, it is for licking blood. They also do remove some of the hair there, which makes it a little bit easier for them to use those molars and premolars to cut through the thick buffalo hide. And I think they probably do just like the taste to a degree. We saw how incredibly powerful lions are when they were hunting that buffalo last week, and now you've seen they've caught another one. And Sibo Siso was just wondering, he says, when they've done self-drive safaris, they've always been told to close the windows, and you're saying, just looking at how powerful a lion is, surely a lion could just swat the window and break it. Well, Sibo Siso, the lions don't see the vehicles as a source of food. I think possibly where you were told to close your windows was at a place like the Lion Park in Johannesburg, where the animals are actually fed from vehicles, so they've learned to associate vehicles with food. Out, if you were in the Kruger or whatnot, you could leave your window open and the lion wouldn't even batter an eyelid at you or even think about smashing your window. The lions in these areas don't see vehicles as a food source. They see it as a mild annoyance at some occasions, but most of the time they just ignore us completely. And they are most definitely strong enough. If they had to swat a window, they would definitely break it. But they don't see a car or whatnot as a food source, so I don't think they would ever do that. Apart from areas like those lion parks and things where they are fed a lot. And fed from vehicles, so they associate the vehicles with food. So we saw those lions licking that carcass quite a bit, and Pretty Nightmare was wondering, do they have a really rough tongue like a house cat does? Well, Pretty Nightmare, a lion's tongue makes a house cat's tongue look like smooth, or as smooth as a baby's bottom. It is incredibly rough. It's like sandpaper, and if they had to continuously lick on a spot on our skin, they would actually take the skin off. So yes, it does have a rough tongue, but compared to a house cat, far more rough, far more coarse. So we're going to continue on and head down Inyala Road north, where there can possibly be some signal breakup, but it is an area that is very popular with leopards, so we're looking for some tracks in that area. And while we do that, we're going to cross across to Scotty to see what he's been up to for the last little while.
Welcome back. So what I've decided to do is loop around an extended search of the general area of where we've had these male leopard tracks in all different directions on 3 different roads all around the treehouse waterhole. And rather than staying in that confined area where the tracks are very confusing, there's also a lot of impala in the area that are quite relaxed, which make me feel that the leopard is not necessarily close by. And by looping a larger perimeter search now, we've tried to establish if we can find where this leopard has gone, if it has in fact left the area. And by process of elimination, we are now slowly fine-tuning things, and it doesn't appear to have moved too far. None of the surrounding roads that we have searched that encompass this area have shown us any tracks. So it could still be very nearby. And we're just going to continue checking roads that we've yet to check already, in the hope that they may provide us with some very useful information as to this leopard's whereabouts. Oh, well, not what we were looking for, but still a very pretty animal that I'm sure a lot of you would like to see. Oh, a few of these zebra appeared to be getting a little bit worked up, and it could be, judging at a quick look at them, they look like a herd of stallions, young stallions, yet to establish a harem of females of their own. And it looks like two of them are getting a little bit feisty with one another, so we may see both impala and zebra having a go at one another this morning. Well, it is very thick here, and there's nothing we can do about that, but I'm sure Andrew's making a plan. There's a few impala running off towards the water where they're having a drink that we can't see from the angle that we're at, but it may be worth trying to get into a position to watch them drinking. So let's do that. And who knows, maybe the zebra will come down for a drink as well. Please continue to drink while we are here. We'll be able to get you some great close-ups with this new camera. How's that, Andrew?
Perfecto.
And isn't this awesome? Some nice close-up shots of them drinking. It's making it a little bit tricky for Andrew because impala keep moving in and out of frame. Surely you guys want some. More zebra will follow. Look at this. Oh, well, you may not have seen that because Andrew was zoomed in. But the The one zebra got a flying hoof as it approached too close to another one, and this must be incredible. I hope you're all taking screenshots. And I'm sure you're getting a great image of all the different patterns and stripes. I find them to be quite hypnotizing, the patterns and stripes on a zebra. And you can find yourself getting lost wandering through and along the different stripes and where they lead to. And some of the impala, I'm not sure if you've seen, have got quite muddy beards. Well, that's the beauty of being out on safari. Even though it was leopard tracks that attracted us into this area and caused us to be here through default at the right time, we can be often pleasantly surprised. And regardless of what we are looking for, we often bump into other animals that keep us entertained whilst we often fruitlessly search for these animals. Got a great question through from Pretty Nightmare regarding waterholes, and she's noticed that she hasn't seen any crocodiles in any of them. And we don't have many crocodiles around, and the only crocodile that has been seen in my time here at Djuma was at Buffels Hook Waterhole, and it spent about 2 or 3 weeks there. Quite a large crocodile, 2 meters or so, certainly big enough to be able to catch an impala. But the majority of crocodiles within the Sabi Sands live within the sand and the Sabi River. A lot of the waterholes are big enough to house crocodiles. There's a lot of fish and food within them, and a lot of antelope that come and drink. So I'm not sure why it is exactly that they don't like spending times in the waterholes. And while we sit here looking at the zebra, I'm looking down at some leopard tracks, just a meter from the vehicle tire, so you can use your imagination and imagine under the cover of darkness there was a leopard walking exactly where the zebra and impala have been and probably drank from a similar place. But now there is no sign of the leopard, but perfectly happy to have these substitutes take its place. There's this one really close now, Andrew. I don't know if it's going to be too close for the super zoom. And you'll notice from their fluffy appearance today that it's still quite cool, and as it warms up they will flatten their fur against their body, giving them a more chic appearance, and also not providing as much warmth as they are evidently requiring now. Notice two funny little black fur balls on their heels. These are actually scent glands, and it's a very sweet smelling odor that comes from those glands, almost like honey. And the last time I actually smelt those glands was investigating the remains of a wild dog kill. And that's how I learnt that it does have that honey taste or honey smell. And there are different theories as to why they have these metatarsal glands. Not all antelope will have them. But one of the theories, and I think it's quite plausible, is that because they are a large herd animal, they will sometimes bombshell and scatter when are attacked or chased by something. And as their leg muscles propel them away from the danger, they too will help exude the scent and therefore leave a trail, a network of scent trails for the herd to help be able to relocate one another. Now another batch of impalas arrived, and the sunlight's going to be absolutely perfect. Initially the sunlight wasn't in our favor, but now Andrew is going to be able to have some fun with the camera, and the reflections are also going to be absolutely awesome. Look at how nervous they are, and they still need to build up courage and confidence that it is safe to drink here. Well, what a wonderful way to end off an incredible morning. Thanks mainly to Brent for his success in tracking down 2 different prides of lion. So very well done to Brent. But this is just absolutely awesome. What a beautiful scene this is. Is it working okay for you, Andrew?
Perfectos.
Now, I'm told that Andrew is going in for a nice tight shot on one of these Impala. And it's a huge advantage to the Safari Live experience that regular guests will not experience when on safari, the extreme close-up views that you get of a lot of the animals. And most of the guests that come here will just be looking at the animals with their regular eyesights or possibly using binoculars, but most of the time that doesn't work too well because most people actually don't know how to work binoculars too well, and it's an easy thing to do, but I guess like riding a bicycle, you need to learn how to do it at some stage. So I hope you're enjoying these close-ups.
A warthog.
Oh, look at this now. Well, I don't think we need to go anywhere. We could spend the rest of the day here. First the Impala, then the zebra, then some more Impala, Now one warthog, and I feel that there could be more following it. And not to forget, there was a leopard here, certainly within 12 hours of us being here now, but I think possibly even fresher than that. I would love to know where it's ended up. But a lot of what goes on out here will always remain a mystery to us. And for me, that's what keeps it kind of special, that we don't know every single thing that goes on. We often only get, oh, and the emerald spotted wood dove now has come in to join. So 4 different animals so far. How many will we see before the end of the broadcast, I wonder? Birds do count, especially that pretty little bird, the emerald spotted wood dove. She's a very pretty lady, this warthog, and you can tell that she's a lady just by looking at her face. And you would have noticed that she didn't have many large wart-like protrusions from her face. There was another warthog that I think may come down for another drink. And I'm very happy to hear that this is Linda's first time to see a warthog. So what I'm going to do for you, Linda, is I'm going to get out my little mammal book and try and show you how to distinguish between male and female. Here we go. So it's hard to see, but you'll see a very large wart-like protrusion from below the eye of this male warthog, which we did not see on the female. And then another smaller one, it's hidden by this tusk, but on this side here you can see it sticking out. So it's got 2 on each side of its face, whereas the female will only have 1, and it'll be considerably smaller than the male's large one below his eye. So that is how you can distinguish between the male and the female warthog without looking between their back legs. If you do have a view of their rump, it is very clear and apparent which is male and which is female. And it's actually a funny story amongst the local Shangaan people that the male warthog was running out of the creator's office where all the animals were created, and the male warthog had yet to receive their testicles. And in a last-minute ditch to get the male the required equipment, the creator just slapped the testicles onto the bottom of the warthog, so they kind of perch quite awkwardly on the rump of a male warthog, and it's something to look out for. It's also described sometimes by the local trackers and guides in this area as the warthog's cooler box, because on a lot of the vehicles, the game viewing vehicles, right on the back of the vehicle will be a large cooler box in which we keep our drinks to give to the guests and snacks, and the Warthog has a very similar cooler box-like adaptation to a lot of the the vehicles that drive around here. Anyway, it appears that for now the treehouse waterhole has instantaneously become barren of animals. And isn't it interesting, and I'm so happy that we got to share this with you. From arrival, we saw the initial Impala come down to drink, and within about 15 minutes, we saw not only the Impala, but the zebra, the warthog. But if we had have only arrived here now, we would have missed all of that. So timing is everything out here. I guess we could also say that if we had arrived at a different time recently in the last few hours, we would have had a leopard walking just past the vehicle. The tracks are literally right here, right past us. I wonder if I can find where it's drunk. Let me have a quick look. I don't think I'm going to disturb any animals coming for a drink. Oh no, I lie. I think there's more zebra coming. So I don't want to disturb them and freak them out around this already spooky place for them. But there are a few more zebras heading down to drink. I'm not sure if they will be here. It'll probably take about 2 or 3 minutes before they get to us. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to reposition in that time. Well, I'm not sure if Brent's mentioned, but he is heading on leave today for a couple of weeks, and there's a strong chance that I will also be leaving today. I'm just heading off for a few days though. I've got one of my best friend's weddings, which I'm really looking forward to. But I will be back on Monday, and really looking forward to seeing some friends, which is something that we don't see too often out here. So if I am not around this afternoon, please all make sure that you send Jamie and Steph lots of questions and welcome them on board. They haven't been doing this nearly as long as Brent and myself, so there's going to be a few things that they are going to be fine-tuning. But what they are going to do is bring you all a fresh and new outlook on the wilderness area and the safari experience. Jamie is very, very knowledgeable, and I'm sure she's going to be able to share a lot of interesting information on what goes on out here with you. And Steph has also got an incredible amount of experience in this industry, so I look forward to having both of them take you around for a while. But I could still be here, but if I'm not, a very big thank you to following us, and we will see you all when I get back. And thanks to Andrew, who was on camera today, and to Nikki in the final control room. Over to Brent.
So, what a fantastic sunrise safari. It seemed to have the lion luck today. Maybe that's because the beginning of my surname is Leo. Who knows? But thanks very much for joining us. It's been a really, really fantastic time. Great to catch up with those Styx cubs before I head off for 2 weeks. I know a few of you are wondering how long I'm going for. I'll be on holiday for 2 weeks and heading up to northern Zambia. And Amanda was wondering what birds I was going to be looking for. And there's a couple of really nice species up there. I have seen them before, but I haven't seen them in quite a long time. And two particulars will be a Boehm's bee-eater and a spotted creeper. Two of the really specials up there. And if I do make it all the way north into the corner between Congo and Zambia, we'll be looking for chocolate-backed kingfishers as well. Ross's Tarako is also another splendid bird up there. But again, anyway, thank you very, very much for all your questions. We really do appreciate it. It is really a privilege and a pleasure to be able to have you guys on safari with us on a daily basis. And I know you guys are going to look after Steph and Jamie as they take over the reins from us for a few days. And James will be back soon as well. So always good to have Commander Bond and his very special brand of humor continuing around. So I'm sure you're all looking forward to catching up with James. Really exciting to hear what Russia was like. Can you imagine Siberia? And also going forward, you're going to be able to follow up on those Nkuhumas again. See if any hyenas actually make it to the carcass this time, or if any of the Matimbas do. So quite an interesting time ahead, and I'm sure Steph and Jamie will definitely keep you updated and go visit that sighting over the next couple of days. The Nkuhumas are looking really good. I'm really happy. Spent a lot of time with them over the last few weeks, so really, really nice to see that pride doing well. So thanks very much, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. I'm going to miss all of you while I'm on holiday, but I am going to enjoy the bird watching and catching up with some very old friends up in Zambia. So for the last few seconds of drive, I think it's time to do some bird watching of our own. And there's a red-billed hornbill and who's that? Cape Glossy Starling, by the looks of things, that we're going to let you have a look at. And I'm going to stop talking so much.